So the Mustang unfortunately managed to get its worst sales month ever in its history last month in September. Yes, you heard me correctly. Unfortunately, the 2024 and up, or the S650 Mustang, has been pretty much trending downwards in terms of sales, but last month it managed to pretty much break all the records ever done, and it managed to sell only 1,800 units. Yes, you heard me correctly, only 1,800 units, when typically it would sell around 4,000 units or so. It pretty much sold 50% less. Now, of course, there's two reasons why this was probably the worst sales month in Mustang's history, and one of them being, of course, it's September, so you're coming off of summer months, so typically you would see a decline in sales because as it gets to fall and winter, the sales kind of suffer for any rear-wheel drive sports car or muscle car, whatever you want to call the Mustang to be. As you can see, last year, the Mustang sold about 2,600 units, so it is still a decrease from last year, about 30% decrease. But there's a big reason, of course, why the sales were significantly down, and it's pretty much unheard of for Mustang to sell that less in a month. And that is going to be the stop sale. So as we know that the Mustang got a recall, I want to say late August, that kind of affected the Mustang where it had a stop sale. There was an issue with water leaking into the BCM, which would cause or could cause issues. So Ford decided to put a stop sale on the new Mustangs for pretty much all the VINs that were affected. Not every car was affected, but there were a good bit of cars that were affected. Now, there is some good news when it comes to sales for the Mustang. So obviously that is a contributing factor for having the bad sales for September, because you just couldn't sell them. Most of the VINs, like I said, were affected, so they were kind of sitting on the lot and pretty much collecting dust. But the good news is that initially, while we were told that the fix won't come in until like January 2026, which would have meant a huge pileup of inventory and just a mess on dealers' lot. Basically, you have a 2026 models and the 2025 that you just cannot sell, and that would have been a huge mess. Good for us consumer, because we would have been able to get 2025 Mustang for a huge discount. So in a way, I'm kind of, not happy that they were able to find out a fix. But of course, the fix needed to happen to be able to continue the sales. So Ford managed to find a fix where they can kind of patch it up and still sell the 2025 Mustangs that were sitting on the lot. So that being said, of course, the sales numbers for the September are affected by the stop sale, which hopefully will no longer be an issue, because there is a remedy out. There is no longer a stop sale on those Mustangs from what I gather. So you can still go into your dealership and pick up a 2025, 2026 Mustang, which will obviously help with the sales. Now, the other good thing that will also somewhat improve sales for the S650 Mustang, even though it's been pretty much declining and we had hoped to see a rebound, it just hasn't done that. But something also happened in August that will help the sales, and that is the ECU got unlocked for the first time ever for the S650 Mustang. EcoBoost ECU was actually just recently unlocked, I think a couple of days ago, but the GT ECU was unlocked and could be tuned back in August. A lot of people basically went ahead and, everyone who was on the fence with the S650 Mustang because maybe, it's a performance car, they wanted to modify the car, and when the ECU is locked, you really can't do much. So all of those people are going to be contributing to the sales number. Everyone like myself who has an S550 and wanted to upgrade but was kind of holding off is probably going to jump the ship to S650 Mustang, because now you can finally tune them up. Now, of course, we are in fall months and leading into winter right now, so we're not going to see a tons of sales increase. So the next few months, we're going to see the reports are going to be maybe flatline or maybe slight decrease. That's just basically, Mustang just don't sell in the winter time frame. But come spring, I have good hopes that Mustang is finally going to be able to recover from poor sales, because the ECU is unlocked, and the S650 Mustang has been kind of proven. It's been out for 3 years now. People who are holding off with their S550 are kind of wanting a new technology, and I mean, the price is what it is. I'm not going to cover into too much detail, because that's been the biggest thing why it hasn't been selling. But I think that's just all car prices. Ford keeps, like, for 2026, they didn't increase the price significantly. They pretty much kept it more or less the same, but they start removing features, and that to me just doesn't sit right with me, because for 10 plus years on the S550 Mustang and the S650 Mustang, stuff that was standard on premium models, so you're still paying extra to get the premium model, but stuff that was extra, like, the ponies projectors, aluminum gas pedals, nicer quality leather, all of that is just being taken away. Like, the door sills used to light up and it would say Mustang. All of that is taken away from the premium model, and now you have to get the premium plus, or the high package is what they call it, to be able to get any of that, which has been standard for pretty much, I want to say like 10 plus years since the S550 Mustang has come out. So that is going to be a huge issue where, I mean, prices haven't gone up, and it almost feels like Ford wants to keep increasing the prices to make more profit per vehicle, because they don't want to increase the price significantly. So they're kind of keeping the price similar for 2026, but they have removed a lot of the standard features that you could find on your premium. Even the dash that used to be coming with premium now is an extra charge for $1,000, or you have to get the performance, or you have to get the premium plus package that I talked about to be able to get that dash. I think Mustang right now is in a very tricky situation, especially if there's no competition. I can see Ford just kind of cruising in with the Mustang and just not changing much and just kind of leaving it as is. But if the competition comes back with these kind of prices, either Ford is going to have to really improve the interior in terms of the materials used and all of that stuff, because I think the 5.0 is pretty much maxed out. You might be able to get 500 horsepower out of a GT if they really wanted to push it. Other than that, I think it's pretty much maxed out. Really, not much can be done. 10-speed has been refined for the S650 Mustang, so no complaints there. You really can't squeeze much performance out of the Mustang without increasing the price significantly. So I think Ford is going to leave the performance as is. They really have to focus the interior, the materials used, the design of the interior. That needs to be upgraded. That needs to be something refreshing. That needs to be something nicer to the touch. Kind of like what Corvette did. And I know it's a different category of the, you know, sports cars, if you want to call it that. But with the C8 Corvette, it's, I mean, the materials used, especially in 2LT and 3LT, is just so much nicer than what you used to get with the C7 and previous Corvettes. It was always seen as a really good sports car with a cheap interior, but not anymore. Not with the C8 Corvette. And now with the Mustang pricing being close to M340s, even like used market M3s, or if you want to, you know, look at, or even if you exclude the used market, you've got, you know, M240s, M2s. You're competing with some of the Germans now in terms of pricing. So the Mustang is no longer the affordable, cheap pony car that you get that's like really good in performance, but you'll get, you know, a base, you know, bare bones interior. But this time around, when you're paying $60,000 for a Mustang, you can get an M340 or M440 for similar price with similar performance. You have to be able to sell on the interior, because I know there's just not much performance they can unlock with the 5.0 now, given it in its fourth generation. It's already come close to 500 horsepower. It started off as a 412 horsepower. But yeah, so I think in my opinion, it's going to be exciting to see where Ford takes this. This sales report obviously wasn't as exciting. It was pretty much, you know, we kind of expected that because of the stop sale, but I'm kind of almost concerned for the Mustang's future. Either you're going to increase the price and move up market, which if the materials and everything is being justified, then I could see people buying it. Or if there's no competition, if the Camaro doesn't return, if the Dodge V8 doesn't return, you're pretty much going through what S197 Mustang went through. 5 years, no competition. You had the 300 horsepower V8 that was just kind of cruising in until the Camaro and Challenger came back, and that's when we got the 5.0. So competition is a good thing. So let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think? Where do you think the Mustang is headed? Is it pretty much going to be failing, or do you think that Ford is going to be able to revive the Mustang? Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Make sure you subscribe to Red 50.